everybody. Welcome to TADTalk episode 101. It's Friday here in Phoenix. Nick, that was something else yesterday.
Are you still crying?
Yeah, I'm still. Yes, I cried. Yeah, I mean, after the show, I went back and spoke to Anne and literally burst into tears. That was something else.
Yeah.
What a way to do episode 100.
Definitely.
But today we're here for episode 101, and 101 is going to be amazing. This man behind me, but what does he do? Well, you can see, where am I? Where's the piano? It's there. I can play the piano there. Check out Stephen Kane. Wow. Pretty cool stuff. I don't think I'll play this piano anymore. That was pretty good. Welcome to the show. Special guest, Stephen Kane. Hey.
Hello, hello.
How are you, Stephen?
I am excellent. I'm in Atlanta, and it's hot.
Is it really?
I'm sure it's not as hot as it is where you are.
Well, it's a dry heat.
All right. Well, down here in the South, it's wet heat.
Yeah. It's about 115, I think, 112, 115 today. But it doesn't feel like 115. Feels like 116. So it's not too bad. But I'm here with Nick and Stephen Kane, and we start TAD Talk, as we always do, with 3 random Nick questions.
That's right. All right. The first question I have today is, what is the most random fact that you know?
I know one that's pretty random that most people may not know. In Japan, they are really into growing and selling the perfect piece of fruit. They actually have been able to grow a square watermelon, but it's inedible. So you just grow it for a gift and say, hey, here's a square watermelon. Wow, thank you so much. And there you go.
Wow. Can you imagine watermelon Tetris?
Watermelon Tetris.
Be amazing.
What about you?
I got 2 for you.
You have 2.
2 random facts. The only 2 places in the world you cannot buy Coca-Cola is North Korea and Cuba.
Really?
Did you know?
Can buy it in Vatican City?
You can.
Wow.
Have you seen, the Pope knocking that stuff back? Yes.
It's called Pope Coke.
Pope Coke.
Pope Coke.
Pope Coke. And here's another random fact. The entire world's population could fit into Los Angeles. Didn't know that, did you?
Oh my gosh.
Final one. I've got one more for you.
Jesus. All right.
The difference between 1 million, being a millionaire, being a billionaire. If you can't quite grasp it, 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. Put that in money.
Jeez.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I have one that's just as deep as that.
Go.
The blow-up doll was invented by Adolf Hitler.
Is that true?
As in the that kind of blow up?
No, the blow-up doll. The blow-up doll, as in, well, it's still technically a psh sound, but in a different way. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The kids don't know, but we do. So, question number 2, Tad After Dark. If you could go back in time and record yourself on a famous song or album, which one would you choose?
Oh, now that's an easy one, and it's famous to me. I don't know, it's famous for everybody. My life-changing Broadway show that I saw was Sweeney Todd. I saw it the first week it opened. I would give anything to be Sweeney Todd and to sing with that incredible chorus and that unbelievable orchestra.
That is such a great...
That's an easy answer for that one, Sweeney Todd.
Interesting.
Anything Stephen Sondheim really would just be a dream. He's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what's the question? You go back and you can sing on that album?
You can sing, you play piano, you can play triangle, you can just do one clap and you're done. Doesn't matter.
Well, mine would be I'd go back and play piano on I'm a Rider, Not a Fighter
Okay.
album. You have no idea who did that, do you?
I do not. No.
Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh.
Gilbert O'Sullivan
The only
album.
one I know is the Berry Vest.
Yeah, the berry vest of Gilbert. But in all seriousness, I would love to have gone back. I'm trying to remember the name of the session, but it was Nelson Riddle when Sinatra did Strangers in the Night and that whole time. And go and sit in that and just sing those standards.
Oh, yes, for those arrangements.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
About you?
I would probably go back and record on Hi-Ho from Mary Poppins. It's not from Mary Poppins, from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah.
You'd go back and record Hi-Ho.
I would record on Hi-Ho because Walt Disney, you know, he's incredible, he's a genius, but the beat gets so off near the end of that song, and I would
You want to fix it or go with it?
I would fix it. I would fix that.
Nick's going to go back to 1937 and quantize everything.
Yes. I would bring Logic Pro back with me so we have a way to do it.
Nice. Okay.
Oh, you know, speaking of Walt Disney, I just watched the TADTalk with Karen Daughtry's, and I've been lucky enough to sail with Richard Sherman a bazillion times and to have him at a dinner table. There's a really quick story that he tells about a famous piece of music. When he and his brother were dealing with all the music with the new Disneyland, Walt had a ride where you sit in a boat and you go around the world, and there were animatronic dolls singing as you went by. Mm-hmm. And the Sherman brothers spent all this time and energy having the dolls sing a famous song from the country. So they're all in the boat, Walt's there in the front, and as they ride through, the proximity, everything is too close, and it's just this big mess of noise. And Walt was getting furious, and he turned to the Sherman brothers and said, I want a new song. I want this fixed tomorrow. And they're going, but Mr. Disney, we can't do this in a day. I want it tomorrow, but we can't do it in a day. And he said, he and his brother got so upset about this, they said, we're going to show him. We're going to write the most miserable earworm song you can think of. And they wrote, It's a Small World. And he said they sat in the boat for the ride the next day, so haughty. And Walt was up front, and they were just, snicker the bazillionth time that song would cycle. And they said Walt was just going, this is amazing. This is perfect. This is perfect. And Richard just said, that's when I started losing my hair. So.
Well, he had the vision, didn't he?
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. Question number 3. Would you rather be the CEO of Starbucks or the sole stockholder of Amazon?
Oh, that's easy. Starbucks. I'm a caffeine addict. I can have a triple espresso and go right to bed. So that's an easy one.
What do you say?
Not me. I'd be the sole stockholder of Amazon. I would then buy Starbucks and give you free coffee, Stephen. That's what I do.
That's good. I like that.
You like that answer?
I did.
Was that 3 questions?
That was the 3 questions.
Right. Well, welcome to the show, Stephen. It's great having you on here. I know that all Nick heard when you talked about being on the ship was being jealous that you spent that much time with one of the Sherman brothers.
I've been wanting to meet him for years and years.
Absolutely brilliant.
He would always take an evening, at least on the smaller ships like Seabourn. He would take an evening and he would just sit on stage at the piano, and all of the production cast, and if there were anybody that could sing, just sit around the piano on stools and do a sing along of his music. It was just incredible.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. Well, Stephen, it's great having you on the show. Obviously, we represent you all around the world on the cruise ships when we can sail. But how did it start for you? When did you start learning and playing the piano?
Well, my story's a little weird. I primarily think of myself as an actor. And so for the past 33 years, I've been playing the role of a ship entertainer.
Okay.
I grew up in a very small town in Alabama, not much exposure to the arts at all, except there was a little lady in town who had taught piano with Juilliard. She taught all the kids in town how to play the piano. So I grew up studying heavy-duty, serious classical piano. I fully intended to finish high school, move to New York, go to Juilliard and be a concert pianist. But the first of many big sidetracks in my life, when I was 17-ish, I discovered that I could sing and that I could act. And I guess at that age, when you discover something that new and that exciting, you make decisions. So I dropped the piano cold turkey. I didn't play for decades. I worked as an actor and a singer. I went to New York. I didn't perform on Broadway ever because I never had the tenacity to stay in town long enough to get involved with all of the local circles and cliques that most people need to do to set up a Broadway career. I was addicted to food and money, and I would take a show out of town. So I worked at a lot of the big regional theaters, across the country, and a lot of the national tours. A sidetrack happened in the early 80s. I was working for a rep company theater in Memphis, and a rep company, you rehearse and you learn several shows, and then once you know them all, they open and they run in rotation. So what that means is you have your daytimes free because you're not rehearsing. Well, a couple of doors down from the theater was a music production house. One day I got the nerve to just walk in and see, who are you? What do you do? And a twist of luck, the producer for their resident 7-voice jingle group was on break in the lobby. And he said, "What part do you sing?" And I said, "Baritone." "Do you sight read?" "Well, as a matter of fact, I sing really, really well." He went, "We just lost our baritone. Could you come in tomorrow and we'll see how you do?" And that was the beginning of years of work as a studio singer. I've done millions of commercials, jingles, station IDs, WXYZ, things like that. And then I got hooked up doing these industrial shows, big business theater, like a corporate gig. But these were big $1 million produced shows. So I was a singing spokesman for Dr. Pepper, Miller Beer, Southwest Airlines, Frito-Lay.
Nice.
And whenever a lull would happen with the work, I'd go back to New York, get fed up with the Broadway routine again, take another show out of town. And the thing that changed my life, in 1987, I was touring with 42nd Street. We were playing the Casa Mañana Theater in Fort Worth, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And after the show, I met a guy who produced entertainment for cruise ships. And he said, I am looking for a featured singing act. You'll also front a production show. I said, well, production show, that's no big deal. That's what I do. But I don't really have an act, and I certainly don't have charts, arrangements. And he said, well, if you'll give me a set list, I'll give you all the charts you want.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a ship contract. It was 4 months, Hawaii, Tahiti, Australia, New Zealand. It was with a line that doesn't exist anymore, a Greek company called Royal Cruise Line, not Royal Caribbean, but just Royal. And on that ship, I met F. Abramson, who was the head of Branson Entertainment Bureau,
Yes.
which was the genesis of, you guys with your cruise division. And through F, I branched out to other ships, other lines, other companies. Along the line, I met Jan. She started booking me with Celebrity and other lines. So for 19 years, I worked as a feature singer act. And the last bit of the story, in the mid-2000s, what I did started falling out of popularity a little bit. I did the big, heavy Broadway material. And this was the same time that a lot of the ships were starting to invest money in the fancy theaters and all the stage toys and all of the super, super big shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, say one night I would be singing, for example, Phantom of the Opera. The next night, the production cast would do it, and a guy would be paddling the boat on the Lake of Fog. And the market for singers started to slump.
Mm.
So I had a few conversations with Jan, and I said, I think I'm going to jump back to my childhood and see if I can still play the piano. I practiced my ass off and learned that, well, first of all, you don't get your technique back after stopping 30 years.
Yeah.
But I wrote 2 shows, which wasn't easy because, and you guys will understand because you play, I was a heavy-duty classical guy. I don't play by ear. I can't sit down and play Happy Birthday without the music. So when I wrote shows, I had to have them written, memorized, and learned. I do a Piano Man set, Billy Joel, Ellison, John Ray Charles. I found some guys that could listen to the original artists and transcribe note for note what those guys played and write it on the music. Then I just simply see it and go, oh, okay. I guess because I spent a couple of decades as a reasonably successful ship entertainer, and 99.9% because Jan is a brilliant agent.
Yeah.
The lines took a chance on me, and they booked me. And they were very patient because the first couple of years I wasn't really that good. But, I got everything under my belt. I learned what I was doing, and I've been a piano act now for 14 years. And the thing that clinched the difference, that opened the doors and made it all happen, I had a conversation with an old theater director. Never in my life had I ever had stage fright, ever, until I started doing a new piano act. And in the wings, it was terror. I mean, knee-knocking terror. And in this conversation, she said, well, first of all, you've got to realize an audience on a ship, like an audience on a holiday, they don't come to the show for soul-lifting, inspiring, glorious, perfect music. They're there to be entertained. Stop concentrating on your ability and start worrying about entertaining people.
Yeah.
And what you feel is stage fright. Take all of that angst, that energy, that terror, and since you're an actor, convince yourself that instead it's excitement. You can't wait to get out there and entertain these people.
Yeah.
And it just clicked in my mind. And so now, I mean, I bill myself as a piano entertainer, but I'm an entertainer who is at the piano.
Who's acting at being it. Well, you're doing a great job, obviously, and you're right. You touched on Jan, who's a brilliant agent, and of course, F. Abramson, who's just iconic in our industry. When we come back after the break, I'm going to talk to Stephen. We're going to talk to Stephen about that background of his, because we're always interested to see what people have behind them, and he's got a lot of stuff. We'll see you after the break. And we're back with part 2 of TAD Talk with special guest Stephen Kane. Now, I made reference to this this background. It's not a virtual background. So let's see what we got here, Stephen, behind you. And we never warned you about this. Now, to your left behind you, got some orange, weird man from Easter Island, it looks like. No, on your, on your left behind you. That's the other left.
This.
So that creature behind you, what is it?
That is from Japan. It's a samurai. When I first started cruising and traveling the world, I had a friend that said, if you see something interesting, buy it. You might never be there again.
Okay.
So I got all this weird stuff. That is a samurai that I bought.
Okay. The other side. There you go. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. The orange guy is a samurai. I have masks from all over the world. I've got carnival masks from Venice.
Well, they'll come in handy these days, won't they?
Yeah. That I think that's a carving from Bali.
That's from Bali. That weird big nose thing. What's the thin statue next to the weird thing with the big nose? It's right next to that. It's right next to your right shoulder.
Skinny wooden thing to your right.
Oh yeah,
the other way.
That's the Bali.
Okay.
That's the Bali carving.
Okay, I see. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. And what's the shirt hanging up on the wall? I'm nosy.
That is, if I can, maybe I can do that.
Oh,
that is a traditional. It's called a bauta. It's one of the traditional Venetian carnival masks.
Nice. It's always interesting. It's always interesting. We've had Heath H on the show, and he has about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 Star Wars figurines behind him. Crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. What's if you're zooming from home? What's in the background of your?
Probably my crazy puppy.
Oh yeah,
Kenny Doggins. Kenny Doggins is always running around, squeaking his toy and climbing up the couch and knocking the cushions down and begging for Dad's attention and all that stuff. And if he's in the cage, he's whining, so we have to leave him out. And he's tearing down the curtains and barking, and it's just a shit show.
It is. By the way, anybody watching, if you tweet, go on and tweet TADTalk, and you'll see those tweets on our social wall. And this is our social wall featuring all the guests that we have had and have coming on TADTalk. And on there you can see Michael Hanrahan, who has 3 paintings in the Royal Collection, Chuck Wagner there, and yesterday's show, June Field. Pretty amazing stuff. Hey, Stephen, in terms of career, I'm talking piano now. Do you have any heroes, any idols in the music world from a piano perspective that you look up to?
Oh God, Billy Joel, and I mean that's almost passe to say that, but it's like when he plays, it's not a man at the piano. It's just one big entity all in itself.
Yes.
It's like he plays straight from the heart into his fingers. And it's something I aspire to and try to do. I play with my eyes closed a lot, because that way I can shut out the world, shut out my fingers, shut out the keys, and just concentrate on the music and try to make everything. But yeah, I get all that from watching Billy Joel.
No, it's great. You say you play with your eyes closed. The audience, my audiences, watch with their ears closed, usually.
I think my dad and I...
Some of your people.
My dad and I are arguably two of the biggest Billy Joel fans that have ever walked this earth, and all my
I know, that's why I hesitated to confess that.
all my friends growing up in high school and stuff, I always said, listen to this Billy Joel song, because I don't want to give away my my age here, but I was born on the same year that Billy Joel released his final album.
Oh my God!
I know.
And I've loved him ever since I first heard him, which was very young. So
Crazy stuff.
incredible.
So here's a question for you about Billy Joel. If you have to choose one lyric from Billy Joel, you have to pick 1-2 lines, maybe. What are you gonna pick as your favorite Billy Joel lyric, Stephen? And yes, the question's coming to you in a minute.
It would have to be from my favorite Billy Joel song, which I've never performed because it's not theatrical, is "And So It Goes."
Oh, what a song!
And it would be hard to pick a phrase. In every heart there is a room, a sanctuary, safe and strong. I just love that in the lyrics of that whole song are just absolutely glorious.
Fantastic. What about you?
I think the best lyric in that song is either the very first one or the one that says, "So I will choose to be with you as if the choice were mine to make, but you can make decisions too, and you can have this heart to break." Incredible. Incredible. But for me, and this one is hilarious because it's not, honestly, I'm going to have to say 2 because it's a tough decision, and I'm going to take yours, and you're going to be really mad at me.
No,
Yes, I am.
you're not going to take
yes,
mine.
I am. So one of them for me is in Close to the Borderline, and he says, I've got a remote control and a color TV. I don't change the channel, so they must change me. That's a great line. And then the other one that my dad's going to be really angry that I took is from Summer Highland Falls. And it's the very first line. They say that these are not the best of times, but they're the only times I've ever known. Just so good.
Do me a favor, just say that whole verse. Read that verse.
They say that these are not the best of times, but they're the only times I've ever known. And I believe there is a time for meditation and cathedrals of our own. And I've seen that sad surrender in my mother's eyes, and I can only stand upon and sympathize, for we are always what our situations hand us. It's either sadness or euphoria.
For we are only what our situations hands us. It's either sadness or euphoria. That was written about 2020.
It's either sadness or...
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll be euphoric soon. Yeah. Billy Joel's amazing.
Oh my God. I saw a once-in-a-lifetime Billy Joel performance. I was walking home through Central Park one day, and there was a crowd forming, and I followed it, and Garth Brooks was doing a free concert in the park that they were recording for Showtime. And his big hit at the time was Shameless, which is a Billy Joel song. And as a treat, they brought out unannounced Billy Joel. And so Billy Joel and Garth Brooks did Shameless. And then they cut to commercial as they were filming, and Garth said, everybody hang on, we have to wrap up the show for the filming, but we're going to stay here and play all night. And Billy Joel and Garth Brooks did an off-the-cuff concert free in Central Park, and it was unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, it's been, we've seen, how many times have we seen Billy live?
Oh, I can't even tell you. I surprised my dad with tickets to his 100th concert at Madison Square Garden,
where
he brought Bruce Springsteen on at the end and did 3 songs with him. Oh,
Yeah, so good. He's very, very good. Stephen, it's been great having you on the show. It's just such a lot. There's such a lot we could talk about, especially when it comes down to piano, and especially when we get talking about Billy Joel. But Stephen, there's a question we ask everybody on TADTalk in every single show, and we're going to ask you the same question. If you, Stephen, could spend the next 60 minutes with any two people, now these could be dead or alive, it could be family or people you've lost, or it could be celebrities or historical figures. It's any two people, and you go anywhere in the world, one place in the world with them, who would you like to spend the next hour with? Where are you going to go with them, and what are you going to talk about?
I'm going to confess to being a theater person.
Okay.
I would be with Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim the night before West Side Story opens, having a drink at Sardi's and just sitting back and listen to them tear their hair out, wondering if the show is going to be a hit.
That's great. Can you imagine?
That would be incredible.
Now, would you sit there and do all the talking, or would you sit there and do all the listening?
I don't think I'd be able to do anything but listen. From the stories I've read about those two, they were great buddies and great drinking buddies, but they fought like cats and dogs. So
wow.
I might try to stir them up a little bit if they slow down.
That's amazing. That's great. Talking about theaters and people you admire, we recently went to beginning of this year, went to the UK and saw Back to the Future, and while we were there, we got to meet Alan Menken and Bob Gale.
Alan Menken?
Not Alan Menken, Alan Silvestri, and Alan Silvestri, right?
Alan Silvestri and Bob.
Alan
Gale.
Silvestri and Bob Gale.
Although Alan Menken, I have met as well.
Yeah, you did meet Alan Menken. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was. I saw one of my really good friends, Katrina, bought me for my birthday, my 21st birthday, tickets to the opening night of Hunchback of Notre Dame at La Jolla Playhouse in California. And
man.
Yeah, Alan Menken was there, obviously because it was opening night. No one had ever seen it, and no one knows what he looks like unless you're a musical theater person. Everyone just knows his music. So it was as Katrina and I were walking up to the front door, we kind of looked at each other at the same time and said, "This is opening night. Do you think Alan Menken will be here?" And as we said it, he comes walking out of the front doors, and literally, I remember Katrina just went like this with her hand. She was like, and just grabbed my arm, and it was incredible. Such a down-to-earth guy. He's amazing. Yeah.
And what a show.
It's my favorite musical now.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Amazing stuff. Well, Stephen, this has been great. Thank you for being on the show. We can't wait to get you back on those ships and doing what you do best.
Yeah.
And that's entertaining our people around the world. Thanks to everyone for joining in. This was episode 101. I'm still recovering from 100 yesterday, but this has been a great show. We will see you with our next episode of TADTalk. Thanks again, Nick. Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.